Good afternoon. Joe Scarice, the Creative BRRRR Strategies podcast founder and host today, Saturday morning here at TCS Property Management at the 2nd and Chestnut office on the rooftop deck. This is part 3 of our series of great education today. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. You can find all our podcasts loaded at creativebrrrstrategiespodcast.com. And you could also find us on Spotify, Audible, Amazon, etc. And what we try to provide is education, networking, and strategy with strong subject matter every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we're now doing one-on-ones on second Saturday of every month. So I have Natalie Klyashtorny, attorney at law. I practiced that name a bunch of times. Did I do it right? I did it well.
Yeah.
She's a shareholder at Nochumson PC and head of litigation. She took the time to come and visit with me today to discuss contract clauses every investor should know. So how are you doing, Natalie?
I'm very well, Joe, and thank you for having me.
And I hope the
We've known each other for a long time.
I know,
so
but we never did this.
No, we did not.
No, we've never done this before.
No.
I've been an attendee of your presentations, whether I held them or you held them elsewhere. I've been a fan of you doing your discussions every time. I always do a follow-up and saying, hey, there was a great discussion.
Yes.
So I was able to convince you otherwise to come to my podcast.
And I always enjoy you participating. You have great questions, and you're a great member of my audience. And it's a pleasure, for us now to speak one-on-one.
So a little background on mine so that where this ties in. I'm a nationwide direct private lender with Park Place Finance, senior account executive. We provide DSCR, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, and new construction. And Natalie and her firm offer a lot of that to clients, and I thought this was just an excellent contrast to work together on this discussion. So now I want to give you some background on yourself, and then we'll dive into the questions of the subject today.
So I'm head of the litigation group at Nochumson PC, and my work involves representing investors, developers, contractors, and real estate salespeople when any kind of disputes arise, which happens a lot if you don't prepare the correct contracts. So I think contracts are very, very important. Now, the discussion that we're having should not be construed as any kind of legal advice. If you have any specific questions about your situation, you should reach out to an attorney and discuss that situation with them. This is just a general discussion.
So they shouldn't pose all their questions on Facebook to get answers from people? Is that what you're telling me? Everybody's a self-proclaimed attorney on Facebook.
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
So the first question we put together is, what are the most important contingencies investors should include in every contract?
So the 4 critical contingencies are financing, inspection, appraisal, and title. And each one protects the investor from a different type of risk. Financing contingency ensures the investor can secure appropriate funding. If the lender changes terms, denies the loan, or interest rates spike, the buyer can exit without penalty. The second critical contingency is an inspection contingency, which allows for a full due diligence, structural, mechanical, environmental, and safety, and creates leverage for potential renegotiation. Third is an appraisal contingency, which protects you from overpaying. If the property appraises below contract price, you can renegotiate or cancel. Last but not least, very important, is a title contingency, which ensures that the property has clean, insurable title with no liens, outside claims, or ownership disputes.
So you're very active in the greater Philadelphia market. Where are you seeing the biggest hiccup in that breakdown right now today?
Well, I think appraisal contingencies are very important because this is, as you know, not an easy market.
Yeah.
And values fluctuate, so it's important to protect yourself and have an appraisal contingency in case property does not appraise at the sales price.
Yeah, and that goes to the next question is, why is financing contingency important even for seasoned investors? I'm in the financing space, so I kind of know that, but I'd love to get your perspective on that.
Experienced investors often use creative financing, hard money, DSCR loans, private lenders, bridge loans, but even these lenders can lower the loan to value at the last minute, require unexpected reserves, change DSCR requirements, or even freeze capital lines. A financing contingency gives you the freedom to walk away if financing becomes impossible or economically unwise, which frequently happens in this market and in this kind of unstable environment. Even cash investors sometimes use a form of financing contingency when they plan to raise private funds or refinance immediately after purchase, which is quite often.
Yeah, I'm seeing leverage issues here in Philadelphia specifically. Not the greater Philadelphia market, but in Philadelphia proper, I see the leverage of construction being backed down a little bit.
Sure.
And the leverage for DSCR is backing down a little bit. They're concerned about value right now.
Of course, yes, because with interest rates uncertain, the whole issue with tariffs and just a general sort of a level of instability in the economy, these issues come up quite often.
See, most lenders are past the tariff thing.
Okay.
They're more concerned about value and saturation.
Saturation, really?
Yeah, like days on the market are getting heavier.
Sure. Well, that's been the case for a couple of years.
Everything's just getting more. And I think that's where the concern is, like in a Philadelphia-like city, like in St. Louis, Chicago. They're all going through the same relative issues of that. But I think the biggest concern is they're seeing inventory up 20 to 30%. They're seeing rental days on the market up 30, actually up to 4 or 5 months now, rentals before they get rented.
Wow.
Oh, that's what's happening here in Philadelphia. So I'm more concerned about DSCR compression. Mm-hmm. And I'm more concerned about leverage compression because of the concerns of like, hey, you got to have a little more money into this deal because what if that value is not there 6 months from now? So how important does the inspection contingency benefit real estate investors? So
the inspection contingency is very important. It gives you a structured period, usually 5 to 15 days, to fully evaluate the property, which quite frankly is not a lot of time.
No.
And during this time you have to do an evaluation of the roof, electrical, plumbing, foundation, HVAC systems, termites or other pests, mold, radon, lead, asbestos, sewer scope, well and septic testing, structural and permit issues, and tenant access and lease verification. But for investors, the real power comes from what happens afterward. Inspection results form the basis for price reductions, seller credits, or repair requests. Investors commonly negotiate tens of thousands of dollars based on inspection findings. Without this contingency, a hidden issue becomes the investor's responsibility, no matter how costly. So it's really, really important to include an inspection contingency, because I think a lot of people really overlook that, because especially people who plan to buy something and immediately rehab, but there's so many things that you're not necessarily going to know, and especially I think it's always a good idea, and this may take longer to do an environmental. Well, that's what I was saying. Okay, so you got this 15-day window to do this inspection, but you're now depending on third parties to come in and complete this. Correct. You're not going to get it done in 15 days. So do I come back to you as the client and say, listen, I need more than 15 days to complete this 15-day window? So how does that work out? Well, it really depends. You know, if the property has a lot of value, then you have more leverage. You're going to have more leverage with a property that costs $1 million than you have with a property that costs $200,000. Exactly. And if you want a greater window, that's something that can be negotiated. And I think that's you put that in there somewhere. Correct. To kind of leave a door to open. Correct. If I need another 15 days because the guy can't get out there, the gal can't get out there to look at something. Especially, I mean, look at this weather. So because of this weather this winter, so many things have been restricted and delayed. Yes. So what's the purpose of the appraisal contingency? An appraisal contingency protects you if the property's appraised value comes in lower than expected. This is especially important when the market is hot, which it's not, and buyers are bidding above asking. Although, you know, there's a lot of still bidding above asking in the suburbs. The burbs have no issues right now. Correct. It's all about Philadelphia County proper, I feel. Right. An appraisal contingency is also important when an investor is using bank financing, or the investment strategy depends on specific valuations. If the appraisal comes in low or lower than expected, the appraisal contingency will give you the option to renegotiate the price, request concessions, split the difference potentially with the seller, or cancel the contract altogether.
Yeah, the appraisal is almost the most biblical piece.
Right, of course, especially if you're either using financing or if you plan to refinance after closing.
And the bigger the deal, the more, one miss, you're way off.
Correct.
The smaller deals, a $200,000 deal, if you're off by 10 grand, you're okay with that. But
right.
if you're off on a $15 million deal by $1 million, that can change the whole capital stack. So that ties into why is title contingency essential, especially for wholesalers. And what's your feeling on wholesaling, where that's all going to as well? Love to know what your thoughts on that.
Well, obviously, wholesaling nowadays is a lot riskier than it was 5 years ago. And I think a lot of wholesalers are probably leaving the market because it's just not as easy to make money in wholesaling as it was before, especially also because both the city and the state have imposed new regulations on wholesalers. A title contingency ensures that the seller can deliver clear, insurable title. That comes up in my practice very often, where somebody buys something and then later title issues come up. These title issues can be something such as unpaid property taxes or city liens, contractor liens like mechanics liens, boundary encroachment disputes, which I litigate quite often, heirs or probate complications, prior mortgages that were never released. You'd be surprised at, you could have mortgages from the 70s or even 80s that were never satisfied or were never marked satisfied on the city records. There's also judgments against the seller, especially if you have a seller who has a very common name like John Smith or Tom Smith. You should definitely make sure that all judgments are cleared. And for wholesalers, as you said, there's an extra layer. Some title problems make assignment impossible. And some properties are non-assignable due to deed restrictions or lender conditions. Title contingency allows the investor to exit if the title is not clean, or if the title company refuses to insure the transaction.
Yeah, I've seen the wholesalers disappear, actually. They're either becoming investors because of private lending, because they're not requiring tax returns and things like this, or they're partnering with their investors and taking the wholesale fee within the deal itself. But I'm seeing less and less wholesale in Philadelphia, and I think you're going to see even less when there's so much on the MLS.
Right.
You know what I mean? The opportunities are right there in front of you. Like, if you can't find a deal on the MLS, why bother pay $20,000 in a wholesale fee?
Right.
I mean,
exactly. Right. Yeah.
So
it's always a huge risk when you're dealing.
I've never been a fan of wholesale.
Right.
Do I work with wholesalers? Of course, because they're great referral partners.
Sure.
And I'll pay them legitimately in direct private lending space. But at the end of the day, most of their deals fall flat because they don't know how to underwrite their deals anyway.
Right.
And that's a concern I have. So what clause protects the investors from interest rate fluctuations with contracts?
A rate lock or loan terms change clause protects the buyer from unexpected increases in interest rates or changes in loan conditions. For example, if loan terms change materially, including interest rate increases above X%, the buyer may terminate without a penalty. This is critical because lenders may change interest rates, origination fees, reserve requirements, debt service coverage ratios, or closing timelines. Even small rate increases can destroy cash flow on rentals or reduce loan amounts in commercial deals. This clause ensures that if financing becomes too expensive or numbers stop working, the investor can renegotiate or exit. I think nowadays we're not really, I don't know how much of a risk, I guess depending on credit, but interest rates going up are probably not that much of a risk. They're going
down, actually.
Right. So they're not that much of a risk.
No, because to be honest with you, we don't traditionally, in the DSCR space, if it's a refinance or a purchase, turnkey. More turnkey.
Yeah.
We're not locking the rate till we get back the appraisal. Okay, now if I see something looming, being announced that I think they might impact up, Yeah, I mean, but usually our rate is baked in months before any true impact
Sure.
from the regular market. We're not regulated. We follow guidelines. We follow hedge fund numbers, more of a 5-year treasury than a 10-year. So we're much quicker than a regulated bank. Where a regulated bank is very old school regimented.
Sure.
So we're not very concerned about them losing the rate with us. They might have to, what the worst thing is, oh, your rate was 6 1/4. Now you got to pay a couple $1,000 to keep that rate. But it's not going to impact the overall grand scheme. And on construction money, our money's pretty locked.
Yeah.
Like if I lock you in at 9.99 on a construction loan, it's going to be 9.99 at the closing, unless our verification background on you changes.
Sure.
But we already did all that, so it's really hinging on the appraisal.
Right.
So we're very appraisal oriented in the direct private lending space.
Of course.
So what is an assignment clause and why is that so important?
An assignment clause controls whether the buyer can transfer the contract to someone else. Critical for wholesalers, which we just discussed, and investors using partners. There are 3 main types. Full assignments, buyer can assign with no permission required, ideal for wholesalers. Assignment with notice, buyer must notify the seller but doesn't need approval. And third, restricted or prohibited assignment. Seller must approve or assignment is forbidden, which kills wholesaling. Without clear assignment language, the investor may be stuck holding a contract they can't execute. For wholesalers, this is the most important clause, as we discussed.
And again, I think that's going away from the wayside. I think you have to be a licensed realtor at this point, and then you need a welcoming real estate office that's going to be complementary to that as well. So, but that leads into what is the difference between a standard and custom contract clause?
So a standard clause is pre-written and part of a state-approved realtor contract, like a GPAR contract in Pennsylvania. They generally cover purchase price, escrow/earnest money, closing date, property description, disclosures, and basic contingencies. They're designed for traditional home buyers, not for investors. Custom clauses are investor-driven additions written by attorneys such as myself or experienced agents to support specific investment strategies. Examples of these clauses include early access for contractors, marketing rights for wholesalers, timelines tied to lender delays, repair cost adjustment clauses, flexible closing windows, and seller rent-back terms. Investors often win or lose deals based on the strength of this custom language.
So why do investors add contractor access clauses?
Investors need repeated access to the property during due diligence before closing, sometimes daily. Contractors must provide bids, inspect systems, verify structural conditions, confirm rehab timelines, and calculate holding costs. Sellers sometimes restrict access out of convenience, privacy, or tenant issues. A contractor access clause gives the investor the right to bring inspectors, contractors, appraisers, potential partners, and buyers for wholesalers onto the property before closing. This speeds up renovation planning, budget creation, and deal analysis. Without it, an investor may experience costly delays or be unable to complete due diligence.
So what is an earnest money hard versus soft clause?
Earnest money is treated differently depending on its status. Soft earnest money is fully refundable. It's protected by contingencies such as inspection, financing, appraisal, and title, and it's standard during the due diligence period. A hard earnest money is non-refundable, except for title issues, and goes directly to the seller if the buyer cancels. It's often used in competitive or off-market deals. Sophisticated investors negotiate language such as earnest money only becomes hard after inspection. Earnest money remains refundable if lender delays cause missed closing dates, and earnest money becomes hard in phases depending on deal milestones. This clause determines how much financial risk the investor takes on during the contract period.
So we're in Philadelphia County. You guys are right in the epicenter where your offices are. What's your take on contracts and real estate right now in Philadelphia? Are you seeing a lot of your developers identifying new locations, and you're going to have to you shift your focus into other areas and get more proficient outside of Philadelphia right now?
Sure. Doing business in Philadelphia is not easy, and we are seeing a lot of our clients going to the suburbs, doing work in the suburbs, also doing work in New Jersey.
Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore, it's very hot.
Very hot.
Very hot because people, a lot of times, they'll bring cash.
Yeah.
These are second homes that they don't need financing. They'll bring cash. So, yeah, there's definitely movement outside of Philadelphia.
Now, are you licensed just in PA, or?
No, I'm licensed in Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Okay, so you're able to cover. Are you seeing any of those developers and coming back to you for contract discussions, like in that, not Jersey Shore per se, but like that Cumberland, Atlantic, Gloucester County area? Because that Cumberland County market is pretty robust. It's got some foreclosure issues, but
yes,
Vineland's the largest city in the state of New Jersey. Nobody knows that.
Is it?
Yeah, nobody knows that.
Really?
Yeah.
Bigger than Trenton?
Bigger than Trenton. It's very deceiving.
Okay.
There's a lot of land there.
Okay.
You would not believe that. So you got the biggest city in New Jersey.
That's amazing.
Which is like a rural environment.
It's very rural.
Are you seeing any of your clients looking at that area, or that's kind of like they just go right to the Jersey Shore and just skip it all?
I think they go straight to the Jersey Shore because the prices.
Yeah, they go in there. They can take Cape, knock it out. You do the zoning documents and put all the contracts together.
That's exactly
Done.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So the Stone Harbors of the world, the Avalons are still hot. The
right?
Ventnors, the Margates.
Not just that, but also Ocean City.
Ocean City.
Yes. I would say that all up and down the Jersey Shore it's still very hot because the price points are.
The condo market's slumping, but the houses are doing well. That's the funny part.
Yes.
Because I'm seeing the condo market just going down and down.
Why do you think that is?
I think HOAs are having a struggle.
Yes, yeah.
I think they are fighting the STR, MTR environment along with long-term rental, and they don't know where they need to situate themselves. And I think there's a lot of lawsuits that are friendly to condo associations than just a house, and it just causes a lot of capability for a lender to get their head wrapped around confidence between a condo building.
I heard that there are some lenders that refuse to underwrite condo purchases based on, I guess, the
warrantability.
Yes.
Yeah, so like...
Is that the case in New Jersey or in Florida, or is that all over the place?
I think Florida kind of started it, and listen, Florida, the condo market is usually an indicator for the country where it's going.
Correct, yes.
But, due to what's happened politically in New York, that saved Florida's condo market. Because, let's just call it what it is.
Are you seeing that now?
Yeah,
or
I do a lot of business in
speculative?
Florida. I do a lot of business in the Tampa area. It's a little flat, but there's still money being made there. What I see in the Jersey Shore with the non-warrantables, you need to find a lender, a direct private lender that looks past the non-warrantable, but there's still guidelines that we go by. So, you can't be in a full-blown lawsuit in the place, and
of course not.
It can't be like one of the Miami condo buildings where one person lives in it and it's 300 empties. That's not going to happen with me as a lender.
Right.
But I will just require.
Well, I think those buildings, people come in cash.
Yeah, they come in cash and they don't worry about the concerns. But most of the buildings that are, say, Jersey Shore, let's just say Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate, Longport, you're probably the average person using a mortgage is putting 30% down, which is not out of the average anyway.
Yeah.
If you don't have 30%, you should be buying that condo anyway.
I agree. Well, listen, a lot of your colleagues pitch the no money down mortgage. So
that's not my colleagues. I never was into that at all. I mean, I was in regulated banking, as you know, before this. But the last 10 years, I've been strictly in the non-QM space. Yeah. Do we? If we're in a punch fest, we don't wear gloves compared to a bank, right? So when I worked at a previous regional bank here in Philadelphia, you had to wear gloves when you fought. I don't have to wear gloves, but I still have guidelines to follow. And it's definitely, you're probably getting more involved with non-QM lenders with legal practice and understanding what they do than the regulated banks.
Sure.
They're the really ones that are jumping in on a lot of this construction projects and things of that nature. So, I mean, your encounter with regulated banking, we go to the same meetings, we'll run into each other once in a while. Do you find it a little easier working with lenders like myself, the non-QM space, comparatively to the regulated banking space? Where do you see?
I think it's definitely easier to deal with somebody like you, and than it is in regulated banking, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially, like you said, now it's a tight market.
Yeah.
So it's a saturated market.
Yeah, I mean, days on the market for rentals are up.
Yeah.
Days on the market on inventory is up 20%. You know, values are down 8 to 12%. New construction in Philadelphia is on, you know, unless you have a lot of experience and you own the property outright, and you know, the numbers all make sense from a pro forma, it's not going to get. Now, we just had a big fraud case in Philadelphia. Has that impacted in your clients as well? There's a big fraud case down in Temple. They were inflating prices.
Oh, the Temple.
Now, irony enough, the firm that found it was the firm that did all the legal docs, but that's a whole another discussion. They're just trying to cover themselves. But that's
yes, I think there's a lot of investigation in that situation still, so it's really hard for me to comment and say. I don't know that it's necessarily impacted the Temple market, because I would think that, you know, people do their due diligence. Yeah. And all you have to do is, you know, realize that that area is just not as lucrative as it used to be, just because enrollment has fallen off.
Yeah.
And there's less students looking for housing. Also, one thing that I think a lot of people don't think about is there's a lot of squatter issues, not just in the Temple area.
Yeah, professional
all
tenants.
Over the city.
Yeah, professional tenants.
All over the city. And, you know, people who own property, who have squatters, come to us, and they're shocked because they think they can just call the police and the police will get them out. The police want nothing to do with them. No. You actually have to go to court. Even if you don't, we've had situations where there's groups of squatters. So it's not like there's one person or two people.
Oh, no.
There's groups of squatters going in and out. You don't even know who they are. But you need a court order to get them out.
I used to like the old days where you just take the door off the hinges and then they could figure out for themselves to put a new door on. You know what I mean? Like, I actually knew a landlord back 30, 40 years ago that used to take the door off the hinges when somebody didn't want to leave. And they didn't know how to put the door back. So I was like, it was pretty.
Well, but
this is not a long time ago.
A lot of the squatters live without electricity.
No, I get it. It's very entertaining, but to watch, but sad at the same time.
And did you also know? And this is really interesting. You can't board up your property.
No, I know.
That's a violation of the municipal code.
Well,
so it's hard because, you know, if your property's empty, then, you know, the natural inclination is to board it up to keep squatters from getting in. You can't do that, though.
Yeah,
I mean, you could. You're going to get fined.
So I'm going to tell you some things that you're not allowed to talk about, but I am. So it's actually fun. There's specific zip codes that have been told to us in the direct private lending space we cannot lend on because of the fraud case. And the fraud
really?
Case, yes, specific zip codes we cannot.
Well, zip codes being around Temple, or
correct. Okay. Correct. I could tell you the numbers like that. Okay. 2.
Did you know about the case before the article in the Inquirer?
Oh yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, we know
You know everything.
We know way before a lot of things happen. This is the thing. They said 60 million. As you and I would know, it's more. So it's probably close to 100 million plus. But it all came from one firm that did all the legal docs. For the most part, like 90% of the docs snowball through one firm that does the legal docs for a lot of lenders.
Right.
So they had to tell everybody because they'd lose their entire firm doing the legal docs. So that's why a lot of direct private lending groups are bringing their legal docs in-house.
That makes sense.
So they can control the narrative a little more. And then new construction, I've seen very experienced borrowers being turned down with free and clear land, shovel ready to go, and the lenders do not want to fund
because of
just everything that's going on in the market. You got
around Temple, or
just in general in the whole greater Philadelphia market.
Really?
Yeah, it's I had a very savvy, experienced developer He was sealing debt at 2 other lenders. He came to me. He presented me pretty much a softball to hit, and it was turned down twice.
Why?
Because the market's too saturated, and we don't.
Was this a multifamily?
Yep, it was 2 6 units.
That's not bad. I mean, 2 6 units is not.
No,
I'm talking about these apartment buildings. Like
these are done. I mean, like
I know they're done, but I don't know who like. Is there enough demand for these, like the apartment buildings in Delaware Avenue?
You have now just seen.
How do you have demands for all that?
Well, this is funny you say. My take. We're in 09 again. We're in 09, where the suburban rental outside of Philadelphia or South Jersey is now more expensive than the urban rental in Philadelphia.
Yes.
It reversed. Remember how the rentals here got crazy, really high? You couldn't afford to live in the city anymore. You had to kind of shop around. You could now find a 1-bedroom on Market Street above Trader Joe's in that area.
20th and Market?
Yeah, just beautiful spot, window view. Laundry
next
center.
to Murano.
Well, no, next to Murano, but it's around there. I've seen it. I mean, if you have an Instagram, you can find it real quick. So all that beautiful settings, hardwood floors, beautiful kitchen, beautiful everything, $1,200 a month.
Wow.
You can get a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, right around the same area, not too far in another building, $1,800 a month. That same 2-bedroom, 2-bath in New Jersey or Delco or Monco or Lower Bucks is $2,200 to $2,800. There's a $500 difference in the market value. So, from a legal, from a lawyer perspective, you need to be aware of that, because when these guys are telling you they're going to be able to get market rent, and market rent's compressing, DSCR's compressing, you got a problem. And people and all these developers, there's no tax abatement to kind of have this saving grace, and if they bring it back, it's going to be selective in where they do it.
Well, I think they want to bring it back for
certain neighborhoods.
For commercial to residential conversions.
Yeah, conversions. Okay, so now you're bringing more rentals to the market. So, I
hear what you're saying.
It's very interesting. And then people are not 15 years ago, people were dying to come back into the city to live.
Right.
Now people are just looking to get back into the suburb market.
Yeah, but almost every day you hear something in the papers about a conversion to residential. So how do you explain that?
Well, they have to. You're either going to jump on a sword and go bankrupt on the building, right? Mm-hmm. If it goes empty, if it's an empty office building, right?
Right.
Or you're going to convert it into hopefully residential with a little light mixed use, maybe put a gym in there, co-working space,
right,
and make it appealing enough to try to draw. Not the market rent, but a little below. People are giving 3, 4, 5, 6 months away on rent to get people to occupy these units.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, so the concern I have is we're getting back to that 09 environment in Philadelphia, because if you're here long enough, you'll see the same people on the way up and as on the way down, and you see as a cycle. Do I think there's a potential recovery? Yeah, we need some industry to come back. There's no markers bringing people back in.
What industry do you think is going to come back here?
I don't know. Data centers, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Navy Yards could be a full room of data centers. You could have enough data centers to choke a horse. You and I could play Frisbee for 5 acres down there without getting hit by a car.
Yeah, well, we do have a lot of, eds and meds here. We're known for that.
Okay, but are we retaining them? Yeah, like the retainage for college kids coming out of the colleges in Philadelphia was 52, 54% at one time. It was crazy. It was some high number. Mm-hmm. Are we still at that number? And then with less students coming to these schools,
yes,
is that retainage the same way? Or are they moving out to King of Prussia or the Conchi area? Is that more exciting to them and safer to them than staying in the city? There's just a lot moving. And listen, Philadelphia is no different than Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Chicago, Boston. Mm-hmm. They're all having the same. If you go up to Boston near the convention center, which was a really tough area back in the day, there's more apartment living there than I've ever seen before. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I was just down in Fort Lauderdale, and the worst area of Fort Lauderdale back in the day, across from the Hard Rock Casino, now it's these beautiful apartment buildings and a Comedy Store.
Well, the demand in Florida
it's all relative. All the cities are the same. They're all going through their shape shifting. Now, look, Lehigh Valley just attracted Eli Lilly. That's 850 permanent jobs, 2,100 temporary jobs. That's a game changer for the valley.
Yes. Well, the Lehigh Valley has also become sort of a bedroom community for the greater New York area.
Yeah.
Since COVID.
And potentially Philly, because they're expanding the lanes going up to the Blue Route. If you go up toward...
Really?
Yeah,
that I didn't know.
They've turned everything's 3 lanes, 4 lanes now, all the way up to Allentown.
Okay, wow. I did not know that. Okay.
They're trying to make that whole corridor
And isn't there
easier.
going to be, I don't know how soon this is going to be, but there's supposed to be an Amtrak line between Scranton and New York.
You and I will be retired by that time. When it does happen, I'll get to go on it I'll take the senior citizen discount if that happens and when that happens. But Natalie, it was really a pleasure having you on the podcast.
It was a pleasure being here.
I threw you a couple things that you didn't even know about. Now you know what you know what you don't know. So how do we reach out to you and stay in contact with you, potentially for working with you for legal services?
So the best way to reach me is via telephone or email. My work telephone, and this is my direct line, is 215-600-2852. And I would give you my email address, but it's quite long. I can spell it because I'm so
We'll
used
find you
to
on LinkedIn now.
LinkedIn. That's true.
There you go. The contact information is right on the LinkedIn.
That is true. That's a good point.
Exactly. So I want to thank you, Natalie, for coming into the Creative BRRRR Strategies podcast. We're live here on Facebook and YouTube. I want to just talk about a couple markers that we hit. We had 2 years of our podcast, 150 plus episodes, 10,000 plus downloads. We're every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Clubhouse as well as Facebook and YouTube, and then we load to Buzzsprout, to Spotify, and all the other great little social media sites. Second Saturday of the month, we were always going to have educational interviews such as this. We provide education, networking, and strategy. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this morning. I want to thank Mr. Ural Perkins, wherever he is, because he needs to turn off the video in just a few minutes. Thank him for his time today and putting together all this great stuff for us. And thank you. Everybody
Happy
have a great
Valentine's,
day.
everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And happy President's Day. And happy Lunar New Year.
I didn't even know this. I learned a new thing today.
Tuesday.